What's up, Bearcats? I'm Joel Spencer, joined here by Josh, Kyle, and Connor. This is Viva La Cats, presented by Barstool Sports, and we want to apologize to start things off to our viewers and listeners for the lack of shows these past 2 weeks. We had some technical difficulties 2 weeks ago. Last week was fall break, but we're back, and we're going to get things rolling. Before we start, I want to give special thanks to BTV of Bearcast Media, our producers Brendan Mitchell and Olivia Taylor, and once again to our beautiful director, Mr. James Nippert. So, boys, this weekend, UC visits Temple. They play noon on Saturday at Lincoln Financial Field. It's going to be a great game. We're ranked 20th, top 20. So, off of our bye week, we rose 5 spots, which is pretty impressive. But we beat UConn, we beat Tulane on homecoming, and this team is rolling. I mean, like I said, 20th, 6-0. Like, what can stop this team?
I'll tell you right now, Temple, while we're rolling as well, we are not very good when we play Temple. Historically we've never really been good playing Temple.
I think they're our Achilles heel because even like
they're Bearcats killer. They are.
Yes, because even when they're not that competitive or getting national attention in the media, like in basketball, in football, like just across pretty much the entire athletics department, Temple is a Bearcat killer. You're right.
Yeah, they're the Bearcats killer, and they're coming off of 2 wins. One was a large victory over ECU, even though ECU is not very good. But then right after that, they came back and they beat Navy, at Navy too.
Who's a good team.
I mean, yeah, they're okay, but they always run that double wing offense, you know. But the thing is that the telltale sign of how I think, or the reason why I think Temple is not as good as a lot of people think they are, they got beat to an FCS school.
Oh, that's right.
How do you get beat to Nova?
To Villanova.
Villanova. We're not talking about basketball either. We're talking about football.
So that makes Temple kind of like the Norwood State, like the Xavier of Philadelphia, because they lost to Villanova. So they lost to Villanova in football, which is not Villanova's strong suit.
Strong suit. They're in the FCS.
Well, and
not many people knew they had a football team.
And Temple will never be as good at basketball as Villanova is at basketball.
Oh,
so,
God, no.
So they're just kind of like the little brother now.
Yeah, they've always been the little brother of Pennsylvania. Anyway, I mean, you got Penn State, you even got Pitt. I hate to admit it, but Temple is just so much far under those two teams.
For sure.
And now they're under Villanova, which is embarrassing. But for some reason, we are 3.5-point underdogs. How?
Are we?
We are. So 3.5-point underdogs. I don't even want to say I get it, because the last couple of shows, even though, you know, people didn't get to hear our takes from the last show, but I've been saying, like, I get still being the underdog. You know, our strength of schedule isn't the best. Like, our defense is good, but they haven't played the best offenses. Like, I understood, but
you understand being 3.5-point underdogs to somebody who's not even close to rank and we're number 20?
Past tense. I understood.
You understood it. Okay.
Now, I don't get it because we're good. We're halfway through the season. We're 6-0. We're coming off of a bye. Fickle is looking great. He's leading this team.
He does look great. He's a very handsome man.
All right.
I'm sorry. I mean, he's not playing, so you might as well say you say he's looking good.
That's true. I was talking more so on the field performance.
Vest.
He does rock a
He rocks a mean vest.
You know, he rivals OBJ as well for highlight reels because he had that one-handed catch on the sideline.
He had 2 of them.
Yeah.
He had 2 of them. It was beautiful.
He's athletic. He should hop on there. Does Fickle have any college eligibility left? I know I don't because, man, that was bad.
We're losing it today, Joel.
I checked.
We need to
he does not
going.
have college eligibility.
All right. Thank you, Jamie Nippert. Luke Fickle does not have any college eligibility. See, I got it.
There you go.
But Desmond Ridder has over 1,000 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Mike Warren is a train. He's a beast. Between the lines, he's got 664 rushing yards on 11 touchdowns. Like it, I don't understand how Temple is favored in this game because, yes, they're 4-3, 3-0 in the conference, but UC is the better team. Our defense is, I believe, going into the bye. I'm not sure if it still is now, but we were 12th in scoring defense. Our offense is putting up, regular over 25, 30 points a game. Like, I don't get it.
Well, if I may interject, so like I'm looking at the schedule, there's like a trend where like they have a really bad game and then they have like a really strong game. So like if you look at the first two games when they played UCLA, like it was like semi close, like kind of close, where they were like 26-17, and then you have the Miami game, which is an absolute blowout, and then you have another kind of semi close game. I'm not like.
Semi-close.
I
game
mean,
against
yeah,
Alabama A&M.
My bad. But that kind of disproves my theory. But like then you have the Ohio game, which was really close. They only won by 4 points, and like that was a very narrow victory.
But yes, it was a narrow victory, but it proved that this team doesn't mess around. It proves that this team can overcome adversity, which a lot of time, we talked about it on the podcast 2 weeks ago that just completely vanished. But what we talked about was that Tommy Tuberville teams of the past would have just quit. Yeah. Like old Bearcats teams of the past would have just like quit, not given up, not given the effort or had the energy to come back from down that much. I mean, they were down by 3 scores.
Yeah, no, they were,
and they were able to come back. So that kind of showed everyone that like this team is serious.
But I also if that was the only game of recent that's been really, really close, I would kind of be like, why are we 3 points behind? Like, why is that so? Yeah. But then you look at the last game that we just played, and that was also a pretty close game towards them. Like at the beginning, it was super rocky. Like we weren't like they were ahead a little bit. Then we fell behind quite a bit. Then we actually won the game. So I feel like if it wasn't almost 2 back-to-back games, excluding UConn, that there would have been more. Like, there's probably more of a reason why they're 3 points behind.
So there's another thing we got to think about is the you get 3 points for being at home anyway, and they're playing at Lincoln Financial, Eagle Stadium. It's always going to be. I mean, it's going to be rocking now because UC's 20. All right, they got a target on their back.
But can Temple actually draw a crowd?
No, they cannot. But why are we so bad against Temple? Why have we always never been great against Temple?
I
never
think
taken care of business against Temple.
Every school has that one team that just they always fall short of. Every baseball team just has that one team that always finds a way, even when they're favored. Every NFL team, you look at the Bengals, even when they're supposed to win, the other team still finds a way to lose. But we'll get into that later. It's Bearcat talk right now. Yeah. So I'm with you. Like I don't understand it. I don't know why Temple is so good, but they just find a way. Like I don't know if someone made a bet like hundreds of years ago, or not that long, but like decades ago that just cursed. That just cursed Cincinnati. Like, who knows?
Who doesn't? This Cincinnati Bearcat curse.
Here's also the thing. I think that this bye week was very well placed. I mean, 6-0. We did. I mean, to your point, we did kind of struggle a little bit against Tulane. Not that much. Still took care of business. But now we rested up. We're healthy, and we're back to rolling again. And this is a great game. This is a good test to see what this team is actually going to do against the USF and the UCF.
Yeah.
All right. It's a great test. If they can come out of here with a victory, then we know that this Cincinnati team is actually number 20.
For sure. So let's talk about that, right? UC's 20 right now, 6-0, which is
without winning, which is nice.
20 is very favorable halfway through the season.
Well, they are 23rd in like the coaches ranking or something like that.
But AP is what matters.
Yeah.
Like coaches is great. Coaches poll is great. Like they both do matter.
Yeah.
But being 20th in the AP poll, like that's what shows up in articles and in standings.
Both doing great. Like they're both really high, up top 25.
It is. So it's awesome that we're ranked halfway through the season and we rose in the rankings coming off of a bye. And that had to do with a lot of other teams just completely blowing it this past week.
Yeah.
And losing games that they should have won and having them drop out of the rankings. But 6-0, number 20 in the AP, at Temple this week, then at SMU. 2 games that UC should win.
Should win is the key word. Should.
But they should win, but it's not going to be easy.
No, Cincinnati will always play down to their. Well, actually, right now they're the ones that are the underdogs, but we've always played down to other opponents. We always have. I mean, that's just not a Bearcats. That's not a Bengals. That's not a Reds. That's an all of Cincinnati kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Except for FC Cincinnati because they're
still have not lost since
past
May.
But they do suffer from that Cincinnati curse we were talking about. Where
they don't have a playoff win.
The last 2 years and their first 2 years in existence, they've gone out in the first round. Yep. So, let's hope the Bearcats and FCC this year both break that postseason curse. Let's hope the Reds do it next year. So. And let's hope the Bengals do it this year as well. So, getting back to the schedule, at Temple, at SMU, both games they should win. Then we host Navy on November 3rd, which is going to be a really good game. Navy always has a great rushing attack. I'm really excited to see how our quick and athletic defense handles that. Because last year they just ran all over us. Like it was bad.
It was a track meet.
It was bad.
So there's a thing actually. So because we're in because I'm in ROTC, we're talking like a lot about it because it's like the whole military appreciation game. So there's gonna be actually 100 plus or so cadets from the Naval Academy that are gonna be there.
That's gonna be awesome.
It would be awesome if we just wiped the floor with Navy. Like make those seamen just feel so bad about themselves.
Oh yeah,
because
that's what I like to hear.
Because we're all gonna be there.
That's a way to say
it. Like because it's like the only mandatory event that like one of the few mandatory events the ROTC program has to show up. So if I'm gonna look at the camera, so if you have time to go to this game, you should go to this game because it's gonna be a really good game.
And it will be our next home game.
Yes.
So it should be. And like we keep saying, if the Bearcats win their next 2 games, we'll be in the teens. And who knows? Maybe Alabama, Notre Dame, and Clemson and Ohio State all just lose their next 2 games. And,
why not?
And UC is able to climb into the top 10. Let's
just play this
that's
fantasy,
my hypothetical there.
This fantasy story
I
of
love hypotheticals.
But regardless, after Navy, we host USF, which will be a great game. As of right now, actually, we're ranked above USF, who's 21 in the AP polls. Let's hope that both teams keep winning, and that's a top 25 showdown to add to our strength of schedule.
Yep.
And
College game day?
I would love college game
that'd
day.
be awesome.
I would love
I don't
college
see
game
why
day.
not. We have perfect spots for it. It's
The
going to be
thing
a
is-
top 25 matchup against 2 ranked, undefeated opponents that will decide who's going to go on to the American Athletic Conference Championship.
Yes.
Or move on to the next stage.
To that point, though, that's the second weekend in November. So that's when a lot of like big rivalry games and big conference games are happening.
So we need those conference games to mean nothing and for ours to mean a lot.
Like
what
this
you're
weekend, I believe the Washington State game is where college game day is going. And that's going to be a good game. Like Pac-12, I mean, it's a major conference and both teams are doing somewhat good or somewhat decent. Both ranked, I believe. And then there's not much else going on, so that really helps them out.
Yeah.
That third to last game, I don't know if we can just bank on a top 25 undefeated showdown. If it gets to that, I say we're definitely like one of the top 3 choices for them.
I don't see why not. It's something new. They've never been here.
So
they've been here for basketball. That's a lot. They've been here for basketball.
So where do you guys think that college game day would have to set up? Because there's Sigma Commons, there's McMicken Commons. I think it might be cool to set up in the CCM courtyard. Right there in the brick, because it's right there by the schedule, not the schedule, by the stadium. I was looking at the schedule. That's why I said that.
I feel like
I'm telling you right now, in front of McMicken.
McMicken would be great.
The building in the back.
Yeah.
And then all the fans in the back.
Old McMicken on the hill.
It would be. It would just be beautiful.
Well,
it would be a good look.
I mean, people would be like, "Oh, the Iron Field that's like right next to. It's like right in front of Littner Center.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
So if it was gonna, like, if we're thinking about this logically, like, where would they put it? They would put it in the space with they would put it in a space with like the most amount of people. They would probably put it there.
Oh, that's true.
Because it's really large. It's got awful turf though, so everyone's gonna get turf in their shoes. But like it's big. There's a lot of people, and like they host events sometimes there. But like I would love it to be, like in front of McMicken. That would be.
I think McMicken is the best spot. I think
the best.
With the 200, or like whatever, like right behind it, just like
I feel like, except. No, they probably wouldn't do Sigma because of the catwalk, because of tailgating.
Because of tailgating, you would have to move so many people out to put all that in. That's what I'm saying. McMicken, nothing happens there. Yeah. That's why it would be perfect right there.
Hey, but what about on like? Don't forget the celebration started there. Sorry.
No, you're good. What about on like Main Street though? You get right in the middle of the action, so
I
you
think
get the most.
We shut down that.
The thing
because they shut it down for the FC games either way. So
true,
like,
but the thing is, with no flat surface, like I feel like they wouldn't do it. Because there's no real flat surface.
No, there is. I mean, you could shift it to where it was facing like, oh god, what's that building?
You just get a few wooden blocks and just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah.
We engineer different here.
We engineer better.
Just get a few.
It's not we engineer different. It's we engineer better.
It's we engineer better.
See, I'm the business major.
Didn't you watch the video at Convocation, man? We engineer better.
I wasn't in the engineering. I'm not in the engineering major.
But
oh really? No, like it's like required.
In no way.
But to your point, Connor, the turf field next to the baseball stadium, next to Fifth Third, like Shakely, that would be cool. That would be awesome.
It would, because you can like look over it and kind of like see everything's going. You can kind of get a peek of like the helmet, like ooh, what type of mascot has he gonna put on now? I forget that guy's name, but like
Lee Corso.
Lee Corso. Yeah. But like that would probably where it's at, even though it's not the best location in the world, because like it kind of divides it in half. But like
in front of McMicken, I gotta say, number one is in front of McMicken.
McMicken.
Number one would be in front of McMicken, or where they used to put the Big O statue is. That's probably where they would like have like the stage at.
I feel like it would just be too small though.
But like, the thing is that it's small, but like it's already a circle already.
Would they want it to be in a smaller kind of like how FCC is sticking to a 25,000 seat stadium because they don't want to build something that they can't sell out? Like
really?
Do you think small? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Do you think smaller is better in that sense of hosting an event because like you'd be able to pack it better?
Well, I understand what you're saying, and it makes total sense. That's why our stadium is one of the loudest stadiums in the world. We only have 35,000 people here, but. When
42.
42.
Well, we haven't sold out, but continue.
Anyway, when you're talking about like moving heavy equipment and moving a heavy stage and having a lot of theatrics going on, especially that goes on with College Game Day, because you still have to have the bus pulling up to have their special guests coming out.
Oh my god!
Which, by the way, I think the special guest would be Nick Lachey. Not gonna lie, it would be Nick Lachey.
You know what it should be though? It should be Pete Rose. Just like totally out left field. Totally out. You know what?
That's a good pun,
by the way.
Totally out left field.
Yeah, totally out left field. Pete Rose just pulls up.
Who would you have as the guest, Joel?
George Clooney.
Okay, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
George Clooney.
No,
Jerry Springer.
Travis Kelce.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce. Yeah.
Actually, hold on. So the UCF game
like a famous
is the USF game, excuse me, is November 10th. So let me look up the Kansas City Chiefs schedule real quick. But while I do that, let's hope that we go undefeated against USF. College Game Day comes in. We beat USF. We travel to UCF. That game is a toss-up. Then we host ECU to close out the season, and we destroy them. We're looking at a possible 10, 11 win season if things go our way, possibly even 12. So what bowl predictions do you guys have?
Okay, so for the American Athletic Conference, our bowl tie-ins this year is the Compass Bowl at Birmingham, Alabama. That'll be versus the SEC. The Beef O'Brady's Bowl in St. Petersburg, Florida versus the Conference USA. We got the Miami Beach Bowl, Miami, Florida versus the Sun Belt for some reason.
That's not a thing anymore.
I'm looking at it. It says the 2019 season, Miami Beach Bowl, Miami, Florida versus the Sun Belt.
Go to the Wikipedia page.
Go to the Wikipedia page. Well, maybe they're bringing it back. You ever think about that?
Well, going kind of off of like what you said, like a perfect season, I do feel, even though I really want UC to kind of crush Navy, I feel like that game's going to be really close.
It will be, because kind of the same way as Temple, Navy just always performs well against us.
Navy is
Their
part of a
offense just
military
rolls.
academy in the same place as as West Point and as all military academies, where they have really bad games and then they shock everybody by having an amazingly strong game.
Yeah.
Um,
Couple more bowls. We got the Military Bowl versus the ACC. We got the Hawaii Honolulu Bowl, which is versus the Mountain West. The Boca Raton Bowl, which is versus the MAC, and then the New Orleans Bowl, which is versus the Conference USA. So, difference. It would be really cool if we can get the Compass Bowl in Birmingham. We can play the SEC, and we can actually get somebody like that was from the best conference in football. Is what I would like to say. I know a lot of people say the Big Ten, but I don't.
So here's the thing: if UCF continues to go undefeated, I feel like the committee has to include them in the playoff.
I agree.
They
have to.
If they go 12-0 and then
12-0 again.
In the regular season, win conference championship. I feel like they have to be included because going undefeated for 2 years straight is just an incredible feat. And so I believe that if that happens and UC finishes second in the American, which would still be amazing because no one expected that at the beginning of the season, I think that Military Bowl against an ACC opponent.
SEC. Oh no, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It would be an ACC opponent for the.
I think
Bowl.
that's what the Bearcats would get.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now I got a question for you.
Because USF has not looked strong in some of their wins, so I think they might falter on the back half of their schedule, and UC will continue to roll.
I think that's a winnable game. I think versus USF at home, especially at night, that's a winnable game.
Yeah.
I got a question for you though. Would you want UC to take a loss if that meant UCF would go to the playoff? Dead silence.
No.
No.
No. I would rather UC get the win and win out their entire schedule, go 12-0, miss out on the playoff, but get a great bowl game and then kick the ass of an SEC or ACC second or third place team. That's what I would love. And then UC keeps rolling into next year. But we're 6-0 halfway through the season. We just had our bye and we're bowl eligible. Like, think about how great it is to talk about that.
I know.
That's amazing.
So much different from last year.
We're postseason eligible. It's just absolutely fantastic.
I'm having fun.
It's on the Twitter too. It's the name of the account on Twitter.
It's
our
Number
rank.
20.
It sure is.
It's the rank, our current record.
Yep.
It's everything.
So that is on Twitter at UC Barstool, and be sure to follow us on Instagram as well at Cincy Barstool. Little plug in right there. So hopefully UC gets the postseason success. You know who else I want postseason success for? The Cincinnati Bengals.
You're gonna make me sad after riding that high.
But here's the thing: Bengals are 4-2 right now, leading the AFC North.
Still in first.
We're still in first place in our division, so we're looking good. The Steelers game honestly could have gone either way. It's it's a huge disappointment. Yes, the Steelers always find a way to win. Actually, no, they don't. The Bengals always find a way to lose.
That's a better way to
The
put it.
Bengals always find a way to lose.
Much better.
In this case, they left over a minute. So the Bengals came back. Andy Dalton led a touchdown drive at the end to get 21-20 to secure the lead for the Bengals. But there's the argument because the Bengals scored too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, a touchdown wasn't guaranteed. Like, the lead in that game wasn't guaranteed because a field goal, like driving all the way down, wasting time, and then having to bet on a field goal, like, that wouldn't have won you the game. So with that being said, like, of course you want to score the touchdown. Of course you want to get the touchdown on your first or second chance. But they were snapping the ball with 17 seconds left on the play clock. They weren't winding down the play clock, and they left too much time on the clock for the Steelers, and the Steelers were able to come back and score with 10 seconds remaining, win for 2, just so that if the Bengals scored on some miracle, they wouldn't win it on the extra point, that they would just tie it and it would go to overtime. So what are your big takeaways from the game? Because obviously it's a lot of heartbreak, not just because we lost to the Steelers, but because we, once again, should have won the game.
I have a ton to say about this because you know me in the Bengals. They just break my heart every day. We have never been good at clock management. We've never been good at clock management ever. That is Marvin Lewis's worst attribute about him is clock management. He is just so bad at clock management. But here's the end to it. He put the Bengals in a position to win. The right defenses were called towards the end of the game, which I knew Paul Gunther couldn't run an end of the game kind of defense.
Oh, our defensive coordinator is not Paul Gunther.
No, I'm saying what it used to be.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
zoned out for a sec to look something up. I'm really sorry about that. Continue.
I said Paul Gunther used to run a defense that cannot win in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
and they couldn't. But now we have a very good defensive coordinator in Terrell Austin, and he gave them multiple chances to make plays. It was on this loss is definitely not on the coaching staff. I'm giving this loss to the players. I think if Drake Kirkpatrick doesn't have the holding call, we're sitting here 5-1 and 3 ahead of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But not only that, the last 3 or 4 plays, Carlos Dunlap went out, Vontaze Burfict went out, William Jackson III went out, and then Drake Kirkpatrick went out.
And Sean Williams was out earlier in the game.
Right, but all of those back half injuries, none of them are significant. And you know what? The Steelers didn't have anybody go out like that, especially in a very important game.
Let's take a quick break for a sec. All right. Courtney, come on in.
Oh, taking a break?
Yeah. And we're back. Hey, what's up? So we are now joined by Courtney.
Hello.
Who was fashionably late.
I had to park my car.
The keyword is fashionably. We were in the middle of talking Bengals. So, Josh, to your point, we also lost Sean Williams and Nick Vigil to injuries earlier in the Steelers game. But continue on.
Okay, so injury, I understand. There's a difference between playing hurt and playing injured. All right, there are a lot of Steelers players that were hurt during the game. It's a grown man's game. It's a violent game. Things are going to happen. But the problem is when it is a clutch last end of the game drive, you have to have your star players out there. On that touchdown pass, who was covering Antonio Brown? Tom McRae.
Oh, that's a big
Tom
topic.
McRae.
Okay, but with Jackson,
I'm not saying he's not bad. But I'm saying we got at the very least, have Dre on there. Ideally, we have William Jackson III. Both of them are out.
With Jackson, with Dre, I mean, even Darquez got banged up. But yes, we had McRae playing, but there's the big if on was that an illegal pick by setting up that slant route across the middle for the game-winning touchdown.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
because the defender did not initiate contact. They equally met beyond the line of scrimmage and was pushed back while the defender was holding. So that should have been offensive pass interference because McRae wasn't able to get around to make a play on the ball.
Yeah. So
now here's the thing is that if it was, they would have been pushed back a little bit but the Steelers are still in field goal range for Chris Boswell, who is Bengals killer. Like Boswell is a solid kicker.
He's Mr. Automatic.
Yeah. Like him and Justin Tucker are two of the most consistent kickers in the NFL, arguably. But with that being said, like even if the touchdown drive didn't happen, you know, they can probably get off one more play to either get them a few extra yards before they got out on the sideline, go for one last quick strike, or Boswell, or they chance it on if Boswell can hit a field goal or not, which with his history against the Bengals, Boswell would have made it.
Okay, so I like
they still would have lost.
I like that the play we called was a zero cover, and they blitzed everybody. I'm fine with that. We're giving our players a chance to make a play. I got to tell you something right now that one part of the Bengals that's really pissed me off over the past couple of games is the D-line. They're supposed to be
performing as well as they should be.
They're supposed to be one of the best in the NFL.
They didn't get a single touch on Big Ben. Not a single touch.
Didn't touch him. They hurried him like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
They didn't touch him.
I don't think there hasn't been a Bengals D-line that has really performed in a long time. They're always been kind of shoddy.
I would disagree with
that's
that.
A very
I don't
cold
know.
take.
I
That's
didn't-
a
I
very
didn't-
cold take.
I
Didn't
didn't
they
watch.
Didn't they
I
get
don't-
2 touchdowns?
I don't
Them?
watch many Bengals like football games, but like whenever I do
Don't
watch
say
it,
that. Oh
like-
my god.
but,
Who
like-
found this kid?
but like when I do watch the occasional game, like it always seems like the score runs really high whenever like on the opposite team because they just don't stop them.
But
Back to Joel.
to okay, so now arguing against you.
yeah,
um,
no. Like you
Did
totally
you
can.
did you watch the game last week against the Dolphins when
I-
the D-line scored 2 touchdowns in 2 drives? No?
No,
No?
I did not. No.
All right,
That-
you're on a
that-
timeout.
This is why
So-
I moved and why
That
I'm
was a bad
standing
one.
now.
So to our viewers and listeners,
That's why you
think
got
of
bumped
around
from
the
the seat.
horn. I'm hitting the mute button on Connor right now.
He's done.
He can't talk for a
You're
little
done.
bit.
Yikes.
You're on
So, but it does fall on the defense though, because
timeout.
yes, like 28 points isn't necessarily a bad showing, like
no, it's not.
because our offense has been scoring over 30.
Right.
So it's just a Steelers game. It's just a physical game. You know, the Bengals were out coached. You know, the Steelers' skill positions on offense are more talented than the Bengals secondary. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. You know, it was an offensive showdown that the Bengals thought they had, but there's 2 sides to a football game.
Okay, so I'm going
3 if you count special teams.
I'm going to agree with you on all that except for one. I do not think they were outcoached. I think they were about the same in terms of coaching. The Bengals coaches have actually put the Bengals in a place to make plays. They are relying on this D-line to get rushes, to get sacks. They're relying on this secondary who had 2 or 3 dropped interceptions. They did. I mean,
Well, Dre has,
they
like-
have to
We
make
lead the
these
NFL
plays.
in dropped interceptions.
Yes.
Drake Kirkpatrick.
Dre,
I expect
so,
more from you.
So
He
I
does.
think either the second or third week of the season, Dre had to walk with the ball. Like, he had to hold the ball around the facility for the entire week because the players were getting on him about dropped interceptions. And then the
didn't
next
help.
game after that, he had multiple dropped interceptions
Interceptions.
still.
So
Jesus.
I do not think the Bengals were outcoached.
He
I
went
think
to
the
Alabama.
Bengals.
I expect more from him.
There you go. The Bengals should have won this game. They were the better team, even when they played as sloppy as they did. They
Yeah.
were. Here's what has to happen. The Bengals players, they can't go out with these small hurt, like, my leg hurt. You got to start fighting through the pain.
Well, and
because
that's-
you saw the Steelers. None of them did that.
And that's what William Jackson said after the game as well, because the media knew he was beat up, so they were asking him like, "Oh, well, like, will you play? Like, will you practice?" And he said, "Yeah, like I always do." Like he's committed to fighting through the pain, but there comes a point where the trainers like. Like with Billy Price, with Tyler Croft, like they're not forcing these guys back out there to risk future injury because think about it, this team is 4-2. This team is 4-2. We're on top of the division. We're tied with Baltimore right now, even though we hold that tiebreaker.
Yep.
And like the team has shown promise. We're at the Chiefs this next week. Then we host the Buccaneers. That should be a win. Then we host the Saints, who are rolling. Then we're at Ravens, host the Browns again, host the Broncos. Excuse me. Like. We have a decent schedule. Like we could easily finish and make the playoffs.
Okay, I
The-
understand that and agree. I understand.
And so if you're going for the playoffs, except this team isn't going for the playoffs because they're going for a playoff win, you
Yeah.
need guys to stay healthy long term. So I'm okay with dropping a couple games, even though it was to the Steelers. I'm okay with dropping a couple games to save the health of guys so that they can contribute later on in the season.
But this is an AFC North game. This
It is.
game is going to matter so much coming down the road.
Mm-hmm.
All right? It's so hard to win in Pittsburgh. We obviously haven't done it. What is it, 7 now? We haven't beaten Pittsburgh in 7 straight games.
It's been a while.
Been swept twice. We can't keep dropping these such important games. If we did this against the Chiefs, okay. We did this against the Saints. We play the Saints this year. Okay. Did against the Buccaneers. Okay. This is an AFC North game and a chance to put Pittsburgh out of the race.
Yeah, and one of the
to
arguments
win the AFC North.
One of the arguments as well was that, the Bengals and Steelers is one of the big rivalries, so they always flex them to prime time. Well, the NFL this year was like, no, you guys try to kill each other, so we're not going to put you on primetime. And so with the Steelers winning so many in a row, like, everyone was like, oh, well, it's because it was primetime. Primetime Dalton isn't that great. The Bengals never perform during late games or on Monday games or on Thursday games, for that matter. Even though we defeated the Ravens pretty well
Handily.
earlier
They
this season
beat the Ravens.
on Thursday. But with a 1 o'clock game, everyone thought, like, oh, well, this will be good. We'll have a chance. And we did. We did have a chance. That was just a close game that came down to the wire, and so far this season the Bengals have been good coming down to the wire. The fourth quarter, of which Connor didn't watch, against the Dolphins, we came back. We scored the last 23 unanswered points,
2 of them by the defense.
In my defense, I was doing math homework.
That doesn't make it
In my defense, I was doing math homework, and I couldn't get onto the Watch ESPN app because Spectrum's stupid.
All right. That's fair.
Here's the thing, though. This is a different Bengals team from previous years.
It is. I agree with you on that.
They're not going to give this up that many times.
No.
They look really strong.
They drove down against Atlanta. He didn't watch the Dolphins game, so we're not going to listen to him. And then they also beat the Dolphins with scoring 2 touchdowns by the defense. It's pretty incredible.
I think the Steelers are just always going to be that team for us. Like that team
Thank
that
you.
no how
It's going to be the
we
Temple.
can be top team in the NFL, but they're always going to be that team
Yep.
that we can't beat.
They're going to be
You're
Temple.
correct.
They're going to be the Cardinals.
Yes.
So
They just are that team.
They just get under our skin. The entire city of Cincinnati.
Mhm.
Like, I was mad when we lost. And
So I kind of want to bring up a point. Like, when is Ben Roethlisberger gonna leave the Steelers?
Never.
well,
when is he calling? Because that man looks tired. He every so time he goes on the field, every so time he goes.
Well,
on interviews.
he trimmed a lot of
But,
weight going into the season because he knew he was getting out of shape.
But,
He knew he was out of NFL shape.
He looks
6
like
years
he
old.
looks like he's on the tail end of his career, and he honestly should. No matter how bad it is, because I don't know who said it on the last podcast, but someone said that the program is falling apart.
With the Steelers?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell said he was going to report during the bye week. He hasn't reported yet.
Antonio Brown is still.
And Antonio Brown is now dealing with a lawsuit. And
Great.
and who knows what Big Ben's going to do? He's been threatening to retire the last couple years. He doesn't seem to have the balls to do it. But the Steelers, I don't even want to say that the Steelers are dying off, because Antonio Brown is still young. James Conner looks like the real deal. Like Juju Smith-Schuster, I've got him on my fantasy team, if I'm being
too, and
honest.
he's wonderful.
And he's a killer. So the Steelers are good. Their defense needs a lot of work, which I was actually surprised that our offense didn't go off for more against them.
I just feel like they just need fresh eyes. They need a new aspiring quarterback that really wants to take this.
Well, they
team
drafted what was it, Mason Rudolph in the second round.
has he played?
Well, no, it was just this past draft.
I know, but give him a chance. Maybe
What do you mean, give him a chance?
why
Are
would
you
you
saying
replace?
he's-
Big Ben's good. He's
I know,
36 years
but
old, and he can still.
I know, but
do
if it's
everything he needs to do.
if it's a team that we're doing really well against, so they're doing well. My bad. That they're doing really well against. Why not just put them in for a snap or one play to kind of test out the water?
I mean, at the end of the day, the Steelers suck, and I really don't want to talk about them anymore.
Yeah, can we please be done?
I'm just
Of
getting more
course.
angry.
So tired of the Steelers.
So,
They just take
so I think
so
what
much
we can
out of
all
it.
agree on, though, is that the Bengals were in this game, and the Bengals look promising for the rest of the season. But this is going to be tough to swallow until we face them again.
Right.
Yep.
And it's always going to be that question mark, because going into the game, everyone was saying oh well, yeah, the Bengals are 4-1, but this test against the Steelers will prove if they're the real deal, up there with the Patriots, Chiefs, Rams, if they're actually contenders or if they're pretenders again. So, like I just mentioned, the Chiefs, though, we're going in to Kansas City
Into Arrowhead.
next week, into Arrowhead, which is a hard place to play. We got flexed to Sunday night, so bringing back that primetime Andy.
Okay.
Um,
So here's the thing. It is a different team, and I'll say it again. It's a different Andy Dalton, too.
It is.
I think he's looked a lot better.
Dalton looks like his 2015 self.
Yeah, he's rolling out of the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
He's making very good decisions. He's actually starting to check down a lot more, and we're getting, 5-yard passes. We're turning it into 20-yard gains.
So here's what I think has been the progression with Andy, and then we'll get right back to the Kansas City game and the preview for that, is that 2015 was his coming out party.
Yeah.
Was his MVP caliber season if it didn't get cut short early. And then 2016, he had to rely on AJ Green because Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu both left. So it was the Andy to AJ show.
Well, it had to be.
Then last year with zero offensive line, Andy had to learn how to scramble. He had to up his pocket awareness. He had to learn how to master the quick throws, the quick checkdowns, and just get rid of the ball fast. And this year, with a decent, I'm not going to say with a decent offensive line.
I wouldn't even say decent.
With weapons, it's decent.
It's okay. It's not great. I mean, Bobby Hart.
Well, hang on. Here's the thing.
Glenn.
Let me pull up this stat real fast. So
I wouldn't say decent. I would say okay.
Total quarterback hits allowed through week 16. New Orleans has the least with 17. Houston has the most with 70. Yes, 70 quarterback hits through week 6. Cincinnati, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cincinnati is 7th on the list with only 23 quarterback hits. Kansas City is way down the list with 37. So Cincinnati hasn't allowed that many quarterback hits. So that's why I say they're decent. Yes, they've given up a decent amount of sacks, but they're decent. They're better. They are better.
They're better. They're better.
And so with the decent offensive line, with new weapons in Mixon, Gio is back to his, good self from years ago.
Mark Walton's actually looking not bad.
Mark Walton looks good
He's
too.
Looking very good.
Tyler Boyd, Dalton's new safety net, is fantastic.
We finally have him. We've never had a really good safety net until Tyler Boyd. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have those deep threats with AJ Green, you got Mohamed Sanu, got Marvin Jones, but then they left. Once they're gone, we had nothing.
Because we had Brandon LaFell, who was good his first year, but then fell off. So with the collection of weapons for Andy Dalton, with him not needing to rely on AJ Green anymore, with him having a second option again, with a decent offensive line, with him learning from these last couple years, he's a good quarterback now.
He's got amazing training.
So with that being said, Andy is rolling. Andy is leading this team. I'm not worried about this team following the setback. Maybe they drop it at Kansas City just because it's going to be an offensive showdown.
Yeah.
Our defense didn't hold up against the Steelers. Our defense is injured and they're battered. This Kansas City team is not going to help them at all. So am I worried? No, but I'm excited to watch the game because it is prime time. It's a different Bengals team, like everyone has said so far. And I think it'll be competitive. I really do, because the Chiefs' defense isn't that great either.
I think what it's going to come down to is, can Marvin outcoach Andy Reid? Honestly, I think our players can make the plays. Can
both are
he
awful.
make the decisions? They both are awful.
But no,
Andy Reid is not in football shape, rather than he is a football shape.
Yeah.
He's also as red as the
I wasn't
jacket,
saying
too.
both coaches are awful. I was going to say both coaches are awful at clock management.
Yeah.
So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this comes down to 0-0, because both teams just run out the clock, each drive.
So would you call this game hopefully optimistic?
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
I think
I would watch this game.
I think.
yeah.
Well, I
think.
hope so.
I think
Yeah.
even if they lose, if it's competitive, it's still a statement. It's a statement that they can stand up with the best teams in the league.
That the Bengals have not been on prime time a lot in the past couple of years, and now we're prime time. We're playing Kansas City on Sunday, a huge night for football.
And you know what I saw earlier? Color Rush is back.
Oh,
I know.
Whites.
I know. Kansas City is wearing their Color Rush. I don't think the Bengals have confirmed what they're wearing.
Well,
yet.
Bengals started out the season with the color rush.
They did, because
And it looked great.
they're not just having the Color Rush for Thursday night football only now. Teams can wear it at any point. So I'm really hoping though that it's going to be the all-red Chiefs against the all-white Bengals because that'll just be awesome.
I
that'll
want
be
the
great.
helmet to change too. I want it to be a white and black helmet. Let's go Siberian
I
tiger
do, but
on
the
this.
NFL,
How cool would that look?
unlike the NCAA, the NFL has a rule where you have to set one base for your helmet.
No way.
So you can. I think
I
you
did
can,
not know
I
that.
think
Really?
I think you can change out the logo, like the decals and the logos on the helmet, but you have to have one color base. So that's why. That's why like you can only have like I think throwbacks are the exceptions, right?
Yeah,
Mr. James Nippert,
Is throwback's the only exception?
dude, are teams
you only
allowed
get to wear a specialty jersey 2 times a year and color rush jerseys once a year. So
the
they
Bengals
will
won't
not
be wearing it.
wearing their color rush jerseys. They'll
Okay.
just be wearing white on white regulars.
Gotcha.
So,
Fair
well
enough.
then, we'll take it.
I still like the white on white though because the orange accents still look good on the white.
Yeah,
I
I think the Bengals will. I think the Bengals will win this game. Strong prediction.
Yeah.
I know, bold. I think the Bengals will win this game. I think this Bengals team is more mature than this Chiefs team.
think the
Chiefs are really young.
The Chiefs are young, so are the Bengals, though.
Right. But Patrick Mahomes hasn't had that game as the welcome to the NFL game. The one that we gave RG3, and now look where he's at.
That's true.
It's all about
Yeah.
what's that
So-
welcome to the NFL game that is so important for these rookie quarterbacks, and Patrick Mahomes needs one.
You're
and it's
so
gonna
right.
be home.
You're so
It's
right
gonna be
because
against the
Patrick
Bengals.
Mahomes has been lights out so far this
Yeah.
year. You know, he's been getting all these great comparisons, but he hasn't really been knocked on his ass like multiple times in a game
Right.
because the Chiefs have a good offensive line, you know.
Decent.
And so I would love to see our defense perform well. I would love to see our defense pick him a couple times because I think Jesse Bates will get a pick because Bates is just a ball hawk. He's been
ball
outstanding.
hawking. Well, he got a pick
Um,
against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
It was
Um,
it was one of those picks that I would make.
you and your
Hey
athletic
man,
self.
hey man,
Elmer's
don't
glue.
doubt me.
Yeah.
I played in high school. Played football in high school.
I'm not doubting you.
I was a D lineman, but I still played football in high
All
school.
right.
Hey, D linemen can score touchdowns.
Yeah.
As everyone except Connor saw.
Well, yeah. Well, can I make my prediction about this game?
No,
I
Okay.
thought we muted
Alright.
you.
you're muted.
I
Alright.
think the
Kyle.
Chiefs are going to be hungry though, honestly. Cause
Oh, the Chiefs
They
are
did
good.
take
The
a
Chiefs
loss.
are hungry.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
no, because they lost to the Patriots, so they've gone the first 5 games undefeated.
Mhm.
They're going to be coming off that roll. They got smacked in the mouth this weekend, so I think that young team's finally going to get that fire under their ass to get up and go, and I think that's going to bring a new front to their offense.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that I would be more confident about this game if the Chiefs beat the Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
The Steelers beat the Patriots. My bad. I would be more confident because then that means that they don't have that we're not invincible.
yeah, they get arrogant.
I think the Bengals can win this game. My main concern is Travis Kelce because Kelce is one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and
Came from the greatest college in the world.
he did greatest
did.
college in the
Beautiful.
entire world. But with that being said, we haven't had a good track record of defending tight ends, of being able to cover them.
Look at Vance McDonald. He had a huge game against us. You're
did.
right. You're absolutely right.
And Vance McDonald, he had that great stiff arm a couple weeks back, but
That's on the Buccaneers. We don't even need
but
to talk
he's
about
he's not one of those top 5, top 10 tight ends in the NFL.
them. No.
So I'm worried about guarding Travis Kelce. He may have a career game. Who knows? I would love it because he's obviously a UC guy, but I would hate it because it's against the Bengals.
Yeah.
But I think we're all hopefully optimistic.
Hopefully
That was a
optimistic
good
for
way
that.
to describe it.
Yeah.
So
For the guy who doesn't know football.
we've been having some good talks.
We
We've
have
been
been
having some
having
good
good
talks. We're gonna take a little side note real quick. We've been having some homework presentations for the new guys.
Back to
Week
Cincinnati
1.
Bobcats.
Kyle, week 1, who did you have?
I had the big O.
He had the big O. Week 2,
Beautiful. Big.
even though it disappeared from all of our storage devices, who did you have?
I did Nippert Stadium.
Nippert Stadium.
Yeah.
All right.
Pride of Cincinnati.
Well,
Who?
he had Nippert Stadium.
Who's that? No, I'm just kidding.
I swear to God.
So yeah, he had
I'm
he had
hilarious.
he had, he had Oscar Robertson, which he gave a great presentation for. I think we gave him C+.
I think it was in the low B range.
Low B,
range.
high C. You know,
As my
C's get
GPA
degrees,
will say.
whatever. But he did a good job talking about the Big O. So Nick couldn't be with us tonight. R.I.P. in peace. So we're gonna just have Kyle. Kyle, go ahead and talk about the good old Nippert Stadium.
All right. I know your big beef a few weeks ago was looking at my notes, so I will refrain just for your happiness.
I love it.
We'll see.
All right. So, Nippert Stadium wasn't originally called Nippert Stadium when it was built. Originally built in 1901, I believe. It was Varsity Stadium. And then it.
Keep going.
Well,
James Nippert.
And then all the concrete structures were built in 1915. So that's when it really was the big stadium it is. And it was named in 1923 from not our Jimmy Nippert, but the player Jimmy Nippert, who got injured in the last game of the 1923 UC season. Got hurt. Month later, died. His grandfather, who was Gamble of P&G, made a big donation to finish the renovations of the stadium. And then they, for namesake, gave it to Nippert. There's been a lot of renovations just in the past, but most recently, 2015, they had the West Pavilion, just all those suites put in. And then 2017, they just replaced the scoreboard, the video board.
That was great. That was fantastic.
That was
Can I make a
excellent.
quick
Great
comment
job.
about the stadium? So for those who don't know, I take photos for ROTC. So if you see me like on the field, like taking photos, or you see that one guy like taking photos, that's me. Anyways, selfless plug in. But I was on the field at the last home game, like looking up, and one of the guys was just like, like the light bounces off and like burns a hole like in the turf, like it will catch on fire.
Really?
Yeah. So
are you saying that every time we have a sunny day in Cincinnati, the turf catches on fire?
No, so if you see beforehand, they
Ritter's
spread
feet.
water and because I was like really, and they're like we spread like a water in like a certain, it's like over in the corner, so like where like the Bearcats like enter during the football games, it's on that other side, like towards the suites, and they will spray water on that area because if they don't, it will catch on fire, and like. And they're just like, yeah, it was a design flaw that like they just never realized. But that's a thing.
Sounds like a pretty big design flaw if your turf is gonna catch on fire.
Because I was just like, how did they not notice that? Like, they just pointed. They're like, would you really take that down, build it all again, and like possibly like not have any of that? I was like, oh, fair point.
Yeah.
I'll add it to my notes.
That's pretty interesting.
But yeah, like
That's actually pretty interesting.
and then I was thinking about because like during that game, it was really hot. And then I was just like, you know what? I could believe that it would catch on fire because that turf gets really hot and there was a lot of light.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
What's my GPA looking like, professors?
Well, okay. Question: When Jimmy Nippert got that injury, who were they playing?
Miami.
Good job.
Oh, good
Atta
job.
boy. I'll give you a B+ just because you got that last part. Good job.
Okay.
You got a B+.
I'm gonna give you an A-. I was thoroughly impressed.
take it.
You're never the nice
Thank
guy,
you.
Joel.
I know.
That's surprising.
I'm never the nice guy.
No.
At least on this. So
I have something.
what do you got?
Okay, so I'm sitting in bed at night and I got to thinking. Okay, this is a real possibility. Because it is, in all actuality, it's a real possibility. I was thinking.
Oh
Big
no,
12.
not that.
Oh, okay.
Not
sorry.
that.
My bad. We have.
Josh,
Others
so
Moving is
Mine did a million miles an hour.
A quick disclaimer: Josh is very passionate about two different topics on today's
Multiple
podcast.
things. I brought my notebook.
Josh, please let Joel host the show. Thank you.
Oof.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Nippert. Praise be your name. So,
Exactly.
oh my God, this show.
Sorry
So-
about that. I get excited.
So the turf catches on fire, but and so does this stage.
Yep.
But on the opposite side of the field, where the turf catches on fire, is where the Bearcats entered. In the past, they've walked through the giant Bearcat claw. They've walked right by the giant inflatable Bearcat. Now there are cannons that go off. There's smoke. There's fire that shoots off. But our traditions have come under fire. No pun intended. Because our own Joshua Miller.
Me.
Everyone knows who you are. Our own Joshua Miller isn't satisfied with what we have. He's not satisfied with down the drive. He's not satisfied with the parachuting in before the game to deliver the flags. So Josh.
Me.
Yes, you.
Yes.
Not the other Josh. Just you.
Okay.
What are some of your comments on how to improve UC traditions?
Okay, so what I'm gonna try to explain myself is I like down the drive. I like the whole thing. The problem is it's not incredibly unique. It's not standout. Like when you think like, you know, Mississippi State, they got the freaking cowbells. You know, they got there's not very much that sets us apart. Like Virginia Tech, they have Enter Sandman. Like it gets a whole stadium riled up. Anyway, so I'm thinking, what traditions can we start and create now that would become unique, iconic, and you know, when they think of Cincinnati, they think I want to be a part of this. So I made a list of about 19 things. We're not going to do all 19.
Oh my.
Yeah, I got very passionate about this. Okay, so I got one that I think should be brought back. So you remember "Put On" by Young Jeezy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that used to be like our number one song. We don't really hear it that much anymore. So I think we should start it before the kickoff and have it like be playing. And when he goes east side, the east side of the stadium yells back east side, and then the west side, and then south side, north side, the whole thing. And then at the end, it's like, "We are UC," and then just that's it. That would be a good one. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
Another one. I think after the team enters, all right, when the team runs in, when they run down to the end zone, they all stop in the end zone, and we do down the drive as in the entire stadium and them at the same time to start the game as a one gigantic stadium down the drive. What do you think of that?
I love that.
I like
To
it.
juice the nip.
Obviously, the student section and the band do down the drive multiple times throughout the game, and especially at the beginning. Like,
I'm starting to start
the
the game with it.
Well, we kind of do because everyone does it before the game, and a lot of the players join in, but no, like the whole team doesn't do it all at once.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Which would be cool. And really isn't that much of a stretch, but we kind of already like all do that.
You want me to keep going?
Of course. Yeah. Give us a couple more.
I'll give you two more of my two favorites. Well, I'll give you three because instead of us coming out in white smoke, we should come out in red smoke. Have red smoke come out. I feel like that would be pretty cool.
Or do you want to change it per game depending on our uniforms?
Ooh, what if we came out in black smoke?
Black smoke.
Be clean.
It would be clean. I would like that. All right.
We just have two diesel trucks in the end zone. Just
Killing
revving
air.
their engine.
I do not like our boring ass tarp. It is so boring that we come out through a freaking tarp.
Yeah.
And then the smoke's really cool and the fire's really cool, but the tarp is stupid.
I'm with you. We need something
So,
else.
What we should do is we could do one of two things. One, we have you know how they come down the stairs? We should have fans line the stairs and have a camera follow them down the stairs, and the players are getting juiced up on their way down, and it'll show it on the video screen. What do you think about that?
I like that in theory, but the thing is, it's the opposite side of the student section, so I feel like it'd be really hard to get like dedicated fans over there.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I know that's really rough terrain. Like they have a hard time even landscaping that and keeping things there. So I don't know unless you make that whole like hill nothing but stairs. Like if you just line it with concrete. So I'm not sure about that one, but I do like it's kind of an extension of the catwalk.
Yeah.
It's an extension of the catwalk.
That's what I was thinking.
Like how that's hours before the game, and then that would be right before the game. So it's kind of like that perfect bonding of fans and the team like throughout game day. Yeah. So
I'll give you this one more. Cool. Is the other thing that we can do with this tarp is instead of having a tarp, we dress it up as a jungle. And like we have trees and vines and they like run out through it. Or we make it brick. a lot of brick. UC is very brick-ish. So we make like a brickyard. I just think, please, for the love of God, anything but tarp.
No,
Why the jungle?
Because we're Bearcats. We're from the jungle.
I don't.
Why not? But why not like a city environment, like the urban, like?
That's what I'm saying. The brick.
I like
the brick.
the brick.
Yeah, how
Anything but
The tarp is on fire.
See,
We got brick everywhere.
That's unique, though.
It is unique. Exactly. It's unique.
It's just one big inflatable brick, and then there's like a
Just
slit
one.
in the middle that y'all run through. Dude,
like,
the brick.
I like the down. It's the down to drive one. It's the most doable.
It's easy.
Yeah.
The team could
All
try to
of-
do it, move right over to the student section. They could just sweep right over. It could be one big move.
So
Easiest thing possible.
Exactly.
all of those are very good concepts.
I have
and they're-
more.
I know you do. So everyone, be sure to follow us on Twitter at UC Barstool, on Instagram at Cincy Barstool, because our boy Josh is going to put the rest of the 19 ideas into a blog, and he'll post it. We'll share the link and everything. It'll be a good read, quality read. So I like all those ideas that you just shared with us. My main complaint, though, is that you say that Down the Drive isn't unique.
Okay.
Because it truly is unique to UC, and we had a big old argument about this like last week in the group message. So we'll try to tone it down a little bit, but the big thing is that every school has a chant. Every school has a chant. Every school has a cheer. So no, like if you say, oh well, like Michigan and West Virginia and Cincinnati and Oklahoma, like they all have cheers. Well, yeah, like that's what fan bases do. Like everyone has chants, but there's no one that has like an exact replica of Down the Drive. Like Down the Drive is unique.
Okay.
And it is special to UC.
Well, so I understand what you're saying, and the thing is I don't think I meant that it was going to be unique. I think I meant it more as iconic. What is going to stand out? Like Country Roads Take Me Home is iconic.
I think what would make Down the Drive iconic is if we were in the national spotlight for years on end.
Yeah.
And Down the Drive became synonymous with Cincinnati. And like how Travis Kelce in the Pro Bowl a couple years back, he threw up the UC. You just did the C the wrong way.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't. I lied.
You did it the wrong way.
It's because I'm looking at you.
Actually, you're looking at the camera.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's fine.
So national attention would help.
Yeah.
Because West Virginia obviously is big. They play in a power conference, you know. Like you said with a lot of other schools, Mississippi State, like those are just powerhouse schools.
Right.
But there are great ideas for chants and cheers and traditions. And FCC actually does a lot of really good ones with that. They march from Short Vine, from a lot of bars and restaurants and pregame spots down across stadium, chanting, playing drums, like all together, all united, and they get hundreds, if not like at least 1,000 or two
it's insane.
people.
Yeah.
It's a spectacle. It's really cool to watch. And then during the game, at the beginning of the game. What is it, Mr. Jimmy? Is it smoke or is it chalk that FCC fans throw up?
It's
smoke, isn't it?
it's
Chalk.
It's chalk.
is it chalk?
Um,
I thought it was smoke.
Both.
Oh yeah, they
Both.
do.
Yeah, no,
both.
it's both. But like, have you ever been like in the Bailey? That's what it's called. It's nuts.
Yeah. And it's awesome because they have their big banners, they have their chants, and rightfully so because FCC is playing out of their mind. They clinched the #1 seed.
Kyle's sporting a shirt.
Got a rep.
Yeah.
out.
They're
Blew
the
out.
they're the best team in the USL. We're going to play in the MLS next year, but we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We finished the season 23-3-8, which is amazing. Only 3 losses on the year, 77 points. We finished the season 23 straight unbeaten matches, which is a new USL record, which is impressive in and of itself. But like we mentioned earlier, they have fallen victim to the Cincinnati curse where they've lost in the first round of the playoffs the last 2 seasons.
Correct.
So this weekend they host Nashville, who's the 8th seed in the playoffs. They're 12, 9, and 13. Not a bad team, but there are much better teams in the playoffs. However, Cincy and Nashville have tied in all 3 meetings that they played this year, 0-0, 1-1, and 3-3.
So can I say something on this? because soccer is kind of my strong suit, semi. So the fact that
I thought ROTC was.
well, that too, but like, so the fact that they're 23, 3-8, just out of any league, not just this league alone, is very unheard of. Like going undefeated since May.
It is.
Pro soccer teams like Barcelona or Arsenal that don't do this.
It's amazing, yeah.
So I think we're going to take the MLS next year by firestorm. I think no one's going to expect anything at all. But I do think that we're going to do a lot better than last year because our head coach last year was not really cutting it. And
it's
the same guy.
It was
okay. It was the first year.
It
was from the first year.
For the first year, what they did is that they were so like this team itself is not afraid to make big changes if it doesn't work out.
Well, no, because they have to. They have to appear to a broader audience in order to make the jump to the MLS.
I feel like last year the new head coach coming in, like, to already a strong team, has built up this team. So over the 3 years, like the first year, really strong showing. Like everybody was like, "All right, they're doing good."
And that also pays a lot of respect to Jeff Birding, the president of the club.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
And a lot of FCC's success as well. And a lot of the players that have been willing to sign and stay on. Yeah. Like FCC can pin a lot of that on the U.S. Open Cup run. Because we showed that we can hang with MLS teams, showed that, we can play with the best of the best, and, we can make some noise. And we held the 2-goal lead against New York Red Bulls in the semifinals.
Talk about that game.
I'm just mentioning it. Like, we were poised to make the finals of the Open Cup, and honestly, we were the hot team. We probably would have won. But to your point, like with our head coach, with the success of the last 2 years, with our president, like FCC is not afraid to make changes, and they're not afraid to do things out of the ordinary to make, like, to be in the spotlight.
Well, like, and they're having fun. Like one of the great parts about having like a professional team, like, so like in campus, that you kind of see, like, the attitude of the team, and they're having fun. Like if you look at their social media and they're practicing, and kind of their attitude, they're having fun with it. Like they're not taking it super seriously. They're not taking it too late. I think this is a team that will win this, like will take the final. I'm saying that they'll take the final by firestorm. I say that at most they're going to probably get like a really close game in or so, but they're going to just go ham and totally
they have the talent to do so.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
They have, I think it was Ledesma and their goalie.
Their goalies are lights out amazing. They're so they do.
Evan.
Yeah, he got
Evan's
golden
great.
gloves, and then Ledesma got I think, what was it, 4 over for the new assists. He got 16. The old one was 12.
Yeah. And that's another thing is that, with assists come goals. FCC's goal differential is 38. 72 goals for, 34 goals against, which that goals for is just insane. Like that's amazing.
Really good team.
Yeah, FCC is a fantastic team. And I'm just ready to beat Nashville. Like, I just really want to beat Nashville.
We haven't had. Well, we need to get Nashville back for making us lose against Nevada. Not gonna lie, we lost in Nashville. We need to get them back.
I was there. I was in Nashville for the 0-0 tie against FCC, which was so disappointing. Like, I drove that distance to watch a 0-0 tie. It was so uninteresting.
It's a great city, though.
And then the March Madness, that did leave a sour taste in our mouths. I was there for that too, but not gonna talk about it.
Maybe you shouldn't go to this game, Joel.
So here's the thing: you brought that up, though. You brought up March Madness.
I know, but I'm saying
you reopened that wound. So with Nashville and Cincy, though, both teams are the ones that are going to be making the jump to MLS, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of question on if they're both going to join the west side of the MLS, if they're going to split. Just to kind of balance the league and balance the conferences. But when you talk about conferences and Cincinnati, and this gets back to your point from earlier of you trying to jump the gun.
My bad. Okay,
you
my
see,
fault. I'm sorry.
The city of Cincinnati doesn't have that good of a history with conference realignment. We've been burned a couple times. We've gotten our hopes up only to be let down. So jumping from FCC back to the Bearcats. Obviously, we're in the American right now. We're doing very well for ourselves. top team in basketball, one of the top teams in football currently. But the American isn't where we want to live. It's not where we always want to be. So what is your ideal conference for UC athletics?
So I've thought about this. All right, I've thought about it long and hard. Ooh. And I thought there is a real possibility that the Big 12 will collapse in on itself, especially if Oklahoma leaves to the SEC. And then Texas, honestly, can become an independent. They don't need a TV deal. They have their own. All of Texas follows them. And then, I mean, they were America's team for a while.
I think
so
Oklahoma and Texas want to stay together, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying if Oklahoma leaves to the SEC due to their conference not being as legitimate as the SEC, then if Oklahoma and Texas leave, the Big 12 will fall in on itself. So anyway, I went off of that scenario, and I became a conference maker, and I created the Eastern Atlantic Conference. All right, the Eastern Atlantic Conference. It is a Power 5 conference that took the place of the Big 12. So it's the new Power 5 conference. I set it up into 2 divisions. We have the champions and we have the premier. In the champions division, we have the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, the Pittsburgh Panthers, West Virginia Mountaineers, University of South Florida Bulls, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, East Carolina University, and North Carolina.
Is it
UNC?
So is Notre Dame only in for non-football? Do they remain independent for football, or do they join in all athletics?
Well, we're talking about football. We're talking about football right here, but why not? Everybody comes in for basketball too, because this would actually be a really strong
so Notre Dame is in for football.
Notre Dame.
They're
is
not
in
independent.
No, this is all for football.
Okay.
This is Notre Dame is in for football. They have finally gotten tired of being in the independent, especially because they don't have a conference championship. They want to get a conference championship to become more legit, so they came into the Eastern Atlantic Conference.
Okay.
On the Premier side, we have Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisville, University of Central Florida, Memphis, Rutgers, and Virginia, UVA.
Why Rutgers?
Why Rutgers?
New York TV market.
New York TV market, and they are doing nothing but pissing away opportunity in the Big Ten.
That's a strong conference. But I have a hard time.
Tell me about it.
I have a hard time seeing all those teams come together. But that's how it is in every hypothetical conference realignment.
Right.
You're never gonna have no one's ever gonna come to a consensus on on who should be where. There's always gonna be an argument for someone else moving. You say the Big 12 is going to collapse in on itself. That's
the scenario.
I wholeheartedly agree, unless something drastic changes.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of those teams you just mentioned aren't in the Big 12. So to your point, does the Big 12 collapse? Does the Big 10? Does possibly the Pac-12? Because who knows? Conferences really aren't all that regional nowadays, or they're getting away from that.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC, do they pick off other Big 12 teams and kick out some other ones? Or how does your conference come to fruition?
Okay, so with West Virginia, Big 12 fell in on itself, okay? For USF, UCF, Cincinnati, ECU, and Memphis, that's all coming from the Americans. They're finally getting out, and they're realizing that they're starting a new conference, so they get out. For Kentucky and Tennessee, both of them historically have not had any success in terms of football. They just, except for Tennessee the past couple of years. All right,
I'll
fix that.
Yep.
In the past couple of years, they don't have success. When Peyton Manning was there, different story. Louisville out of the ACC, also same thing. When they had Lamar Jackson, they had a lot of success, but since then, they've really fallen off the map.
And
so
also,
they're trying to get a new identity.
And also, Louisville could be in a lot of trouble coming up. Based on a bunch of investigations. So the ACC might just kick them to the curb.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
And the Big Ten might do the same with Rutgers. ACC might do it
terrible.
with Pitt. Who knows?
Yeah.
But continue.
Yeah. Another AAC team I forgot to mention, Memphis. And then Virginia, again, they don't have much success in the ACC in terms of football. They just don't.
In football, yeah.
In football. They're definitely there for basketball. North Carolina, same exact thing. For football, just not much.
Quick little shout out to Gio Bernard, though, who came from North Carolina. Love that man. My conference. So this whole topic was brought up, I think, I was playing NCAA Football 14, the GOAT, best football game of all time.
Football 13, better.
Except for NFL Street 2.
NFL Street 1 was the best.
That's a topic for another day.
It's video game time.
But I was going back to my Cincinnati dynasty, and you could make custom conferences in that game. So this was years and years ago that I made these custom conferences, and I just revisited them last week. So Court was getting on my ass about this.
No, I was just really surprised that that's how you spent your fall break.
I know. So I spent my fall break. I spent the first night of fall break playing NCAA 14 because I was just,
as we do,
in nostalgia mode, and shared this conference. So I relocated Cincinnati to the Big Ten. And here's what I had. There were 16 total teams in the Big Ten. In the East, I had Cincinnati, Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, Pittsburgh, Kentucky, and Louisville. In the Big Ten West, I had Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa State, Purdue, Northwestern, and Minnesota. So
you put Iowa State in there.
I did because when I made this years ago, I was extremely concerned about the regional aspect of conferences. So that's why I had Iowa and Iowa State. That's why I put both Kentucky and Louisville in there. All of these are doable. Like there's not big travel complaints, like with the Big 12, West Virginia doesn't have to go to Texas for half their schedule. For Cincinnati, they don't have to go down to Florida for half their schedule, and then up to the Northeast. Like it's all very central, and I did the same with the Big 12, with the SEC, with the ACC. Like I made them all very regional, while keeping up competition. Like I demoted a lot of other teams to Conference USA. I made the American actually really shitty, but I had Cincinnati in the Big Ten, which is a stretch in reality, but it's something that I would love to see. And in the Big Ten East, with Ohio State, Pittsburgh, Kentucky, and Louisville, like that's a bloodbath right there.
I was about to say you're
as well as Michigan, Michigan State, and Penn State. Like
your conference is very heavy on rivalries and just hatred.
Yeah.
Like you know what? That would be
But that's what a lot of rivalries are. They're regional.
It would be great to see it. UC would be it would be great if UC was in that, play those high level teams. It would.
Well, here's the thing. I've won 2 national championships in a row for Cincinnati in NCAA football.
I mean, I'm not doubting your skills.
So it works.
But I'm just saying, if that was a thing, UC would be very outclassed in terms of just competitive edge. But super entertaining thing to watch if that was real.
UC is also a team on the rise.
Yes.
It's a team on the rise in athletics, and it's also just in general like a school on the rise. The new Kyle's stomach
education better
just made a huge noise. But
you can shout me out for that.
Did that pick up on the mic?
I hope not,
but
it did now.
but Cincinnati in athletics, is great. Cincinnati in academics, by the Business Courier, I believe, was just named one of the world's most innovative schools. They're just going to keep rising. They're going to keep doing great things. So would they be outmatched in the Big Ten? Maybe, because there's plenty of solid teams in there. But it would do wonders for the school, both academically and athletically, for enrollment, for donors. Like, it would be great. With that being said, though, Court, we're going to let you run a segment real quick.
Woohoo! It's Halloween season, and the lights are flashing in the studio. So
it is. If you're
Courtney's corner.
I know. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. If you're listening on the podcast,
there's a demon in the studio, so that's
obviously it doesn't matter to you. But the lights have been flickering pretty much all show.
It's very
Jimmy, what's up?
My
the
bones.
studio is haunted. There's a demon in here. Just so you
No,
know.
there's not. No.
I don't like that.
No,
It's
no.
okay. It's okay. We have an ROTC guy to protect us.
Yeah,
The back room is
That
saying
was
it, so
Josh
it's
touching me
true.
the whole time. It's a ghost.
It was.
Hey.
You didn't know I'm elastic, man.
dude, that's just taking friendly fire at this point, man.
So we're recording on Wednesday night, 2 weeks out from Halloween. It is spooky season. Court, what do you have for us?
So the News Record, which is our student paper, put out a list of 5 Halloween-themed movies, and we're just going to go through them, and then we're going to talk about our favorite scary movies. So we have Hocus Pocus, which is a classic. I really like this movie, and I think everyone should watch it near Halloween. And the next one is Halloween, which it's kind of old, but it's
The
still
new one's
like,
coming out on Friday.
I'm excited about
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
gonna
It
be fun.
looks really cool.
I'm gonna go see it.
I'm a movie guy. It looks
Keep
really
going.
good.
keep going. Yeah, sorry. Halloween Town, which another classic like franchise, very good. The Nightmare Before Christmas, which I've said my opinions before, but they all got cut out. It's a horrible movie.
It's a Christmas
It's
movie.
weird.
It's a
So-
Christmas movie.
The director came out and said it's a Halloween movie, but this topic was absolutely heated 2 weeks ago, and the conversation was just deleted from the face of the earth. So honestly, like, we're not gonna try to repeat exactly everything that was said, but like, fists may be thrown. So
It's a weird movie. Like,
It-
you guys can say whatever you want. It's
I love it.
No, I agree with her. It's weird.
Go ahead.
It's
But you're
Yeah,
talking about
no,
you're
I
talking about classics though.
Okay,
it's
let's-
you can't argue that it's not a classic like that. No, I
no.
okay.
It's a Christmas.
We gotta move on, man.
It's officially not.
Okay, we gotta move on.
It's
There's
just
more
weird.
movies.
And then the final one on here is the Addams Family, which we also had a heated discussion about, but we all agree that it's just
It's
old.
Yeah,
and-
the Addams Family is
Out of
stupid.
date.
Like, that should not be on the list.
I don't think I've ever seen
No.
the Addams Family.
it's weird. It's
It was okay.
It's dated.
And then we can move on to like our favorite scary movies of all time. I said the scariest movie I've
Guess
ever
what
seen is
today
called
is,
The
what's that?
Strangers, and it ruined my life, and I can never watch a scary movie again.
The Strangers.
Yes. It's just like it's silent the entire time. Like, it doesn't have any music leading up to it, and then it's just jumpy, and I didn't like it. That one and the Exorcism movies, I don't like those because I'm not a big fan of demons.
Fair enough.
So, what are your
Um,
guys's?
A Quiet Place, not very scary or horror, but it's a fantastic suspense movie, for sure. The new It was very well done. I'm also a big fan of American Psycho, even though that's still not really a horror movie or like that big of a gore movie, but I just love it. And then, I mean, The Conjuring, like Insidious, those are all classics too.
There it is.
So, top 5. Kyle, go.
Oh, I don't know about 5, but I was gonna say The Shining.
Shining.
I've always found that like
Classic.
super,
That's
it's
so
just
good.
like
Stanley
super
Kubrick.
freaky. I'll list another one though, The Shining, and then what really gets me is like super like psychological stuff. So like The Shining like kind of like messes with you. There's also a movie, I think it's on Netflix still, called The Invitation. It's kind of a smaller movie, but like you don't know what's going on the entire time. So this guy just gets invited over to his house, and like you don't know what's going on, and then like you don't expect the end, and it's just like it kind of like messes with you, but it's pretty spoopy.
The Sixth Sense was another one that was very suspenseful and messed with you,
Oh yeah.
just messed with you at the very end because it made you question everything that you just watched.
Those are my favorite type of movies, actually.
I think that's every time I watch Viva La Cats. I just question everything I'm watching.
Yep.
Connor, 5 movies, go.
I can name probably 2. The one I know off the
Two.
top of my
Yes.
head in terms of suspense is probably Saving Private Ryan because it's got really messed up
What?
scenes.
No.
Just let me explain.
No, we're talking about
Halloween movies.
I know, but like if I want to be creeped out and I kind of want to be like,
What do you mean creeped out? You're in the
not even
ROT. You're in the ROTC. If you're
All
creeped
right.
out by Saving Private Ryan, you need to find another way
All
to
right.
pay for
Oh,
school
sorry.
because you should not be in it.
Okay, fine then. But
Jesus
Inside
Christ.
Out. I wouldn't qualify as a Halloween movie. I would.
But
Not
movie?
Inside Out. My bad. It was that one. It came out.
The
it-
one with the emotions? Like
no,
there's a
it had
sad,
it had like
happy
it had like
emoji
an
movie?
African American main character. For
Get
you guys.
Out?
Get out.
Get Out.
That's what I mean. Yeah, my bad. It's-
Inside Out.
Dude,
Oh
I've
my
been up
God.
since like
hold
5
on,
this
hold
morning.
on,
Jimmy Nipper.
hold on.
All right, mute button. So let's end this topic here. If you haven't watched Hush, go watch Hush. It's one of the scariest movies ever. The main character's deaf, so she has no idea what's going on. So, next topic.
Hold on, that movie's wild. And 2, if anyone has watched The Haunting of the Hill House, let me know because I heard it's the scariest show ever. Okay, move on.
All right. Well, those are pretty much all the topics that we have to talk about. I just want to close out on saying that we need to bring back Midnight Madness. We were talking about this like so much in our Barstool group chat because Midnight Madness was fantastic. You know, as soon as basketball teams are allowed to begin practice, you know, starting at midnight of that day, it would be the first public practice. Thousands of fans and students would flood the arena. There was a dunk contest. There were half-court shots. Dickie V and ESPN were there in 1994 for that half-court shot. It's a pretty popular video as well. Some of the videos from dunk contests are great as well. Kentucky does it. Duke does it. Like plenty of different schools do these with big concerts. They have celebrities come in, and it's something that UC needs to bring back. It would engage fans. We have the red and black scrimmage. I think it's at 7:00 on Thursday or something like that. So yeah, we kind of have something to that effect, but it's not as great as Midnight Madness. We need something to stay up for. They opened the gates at 10:30. At 10:30 at night, they opened the gates for people to come in. Like, that is a college event. That is what we need. That would be just absolutely amazing to have here on campus. And no, we can't have it this year because even though it would have been great in the new renovated Fifth Third to have something like that, it's not ready yet. It's going to be finished right before our tip-off game against Ohio State. But next year, we're going to talk to Bone. We're going to get it going because Midnight Madness, first year that it would be able to happen in the new Fifth Third, it would be a sight to behold. It would be amazing. I'm getting hyped just thinking about it, and it's not even official.
I think if we want to be these big time programs, get these big time recruits, let's act like it. Let's act like a big time program. Let's have these Midnight Madnesses. Let's advertise.
Let's be a power
Why
six.
not? Let's be a power
Make
six.
Make UC great again.
So
There you go.
So
it's always been great, but
with all that being said, I'm Joel Spencer for Josh, Kyle, Courtney, and Connor. This has been Viva La Cats presented by Barstool Sports. Special thanks real quick to BTV of Bearcast Media, to our producers, Brendan Mitchell and Olivia Taylor behind the glass, and once again to our beautiful director, Mr. James Nippert. Follow us on Twitter at UC Barstool and on Instagram at Cincy Barstool. And until next week, this has been Viva La Cats. Viva!